But people like Benavidez, if we do manage to do a deal with Canelo Alvarez, we can do Munguia, we can do Berlanga, or if Benavidez wants to come and play, but it doesn't. We don't. When PBC do a deal, they only let you go and fight one of their fighters if you align yourself to PBC. What I wouldn't do to Benavidez is say, oh, you can fight Canelo Alvarez, but you've got to sign a 5-fight deal with Matchroom or DAZN. I just want to see a great fight. And Canelo Alvarez don't care about who's with who. He'll just say to me, this is what Canelo will say to me.
David Benavidez criticizes Canelo Alvarez's upcoming fight with Edgar Berlanga, calling it a money-making stunt and an insult to boxing fans. Meanwhile, senior boxing analyst Teddy Atlas, who has decades of experience in the sport, echoed Benavidez's sentiments, stating, "This matchup feels like a mismatch. Berlanga has potential, but Canelo is on a different level right now." Atlas pointed out that Canelo's exceptional skills and ring IQ would likely overwhelm Berlanga, making the fight a one-sided affair. Fans have expressed their disappointment with the Canelo-Berlanga matchup, with many believing that Canelo should be facing more challenging opponents. They argue that Berlanga, despite his impressive knockout ratio, has not faced the same level of competition as Canelo and is not ready for such a high-profile fight. David Benavidez, a rising star in the super middleweight division, has vehemently criticized the upcoming Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Berlanga fight, labeling it as a joke fight. Benavidez, known for his aggressive style and impressive knockout power, believes that this matchup is unworthy of Canelo's legacy and that fans deserve to see the Mexican superstar face top-tier opponents. Teddy Atlas believes that while Berlanga has some potential as a boxer, Canelo Alvarez is currently at a much higher level regarding skill, experience, and performance. Atlas feels that Berlanga may not be able to match Canelo's abilities, making the fight seem uneven or unfair. Meanwhile, David Benavidez openly insults Canelo Alvarez in front of the media and says, "He choosing Edgar Berlanga over true competitors like myself shows he's more interested in easy paydays than proving he's the best in the division." Benavidez also warns Canelo that this fight is not good for his career, as he is avoiding difficult fights to protect his record and reputation, rather than proving he is the best in the division. Furthermore, Timothy Bradley, the former champion and commentator, stated, "People want to see Canelo tested against top-tier opponents. Berlanga is still climbing the ranks, and this fight just doesn't make sense from a competitive standpoint." Timothy Bradley, a former world champion and respected boxing commentator, shared his thoughts on the potential matchup between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga. Bradley believes that while Berlanga is a rising star with impressive knockout power, the fight does not make sense from a competitive standpoint. Bradley explained that Canelo has proven himself against some of the best fighters in the world, including Gennady Golovkin, Miguel Cotto, and Floyd Mayweather Jr. He argued that Berlanga, with only 17 professional fights, has not yet faced the same level of competition as Canelo. Bradley pointed out that Berlanga's victories have mostly come against lower-ranked opponents, and he has not shown the same level of skill and experience as Canelo. According to Bradley, a fight between Canelo and Berlanga would be a mismatch, and it would not provide Canelo with the challenge he needs to continue his legacy. He suggested that Canelo should instead focus on facing other top middleweights, such as Jermall Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, or Gennady Golovkin in a trilogy bout. These matchups, Bradley believes, would provide Canelo with the competitive test he needs to prove his greatness and further cement his status as one of the best fighters of his generation. Bradley said, "Trash a fight. Nobody wants to see that. But at the end of the day, Canelo doesn't face the strongest opposition. It is what it is." Canelo Alvarez, the super middleweight champion, announced his title defense on Mexican Independence Day against Edgar Berlanga in Las Vegas. Canelo traditionally fights around Mexican holidays like Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Revolution Day. Berlanga, an undefeated rising star, poses a challenge to Canelo. Fans anticipate the clash of these skilled fighters. Canelo's dedication to Mexican heritage through boxing has gained him fans worldwide.
Whoever he's working with at the time, he says he's the best promoter in the world. Because we didn't have the opponents for him. The only fight we had for him was Dimitri Bivol, which we couldn't make because Bivol had a fight to do and then he was fighting Beterbiev. So we couldn't get that fight made. Bivol wanted to do it at 168, Canelo wanted it at the same terms. So he had no choice but to join the PBC because they gave him a good path. But the path eroded. The path that was mapped out never actually materialised. And he doesn't want to fight a guy. He was disappointed with the Charlo fight.
Eddie is quite shocked by this reaction. However, Canelo Alvarez gives Eddie Hearn bad news about their relationship. Eddie clearly mentioned that Canelo has no choice other than joining PBC. He looks very disappointed. Eddie believes that this fight can be described as respectable, like driving by a car crash on the freeway. He said, "You can't help but look. Berlanga isn't the opponent that fans wanted from Canelo, but they're stuck with this. Canelo has picked Berlanga over Chris Eubank Jr. as his challenger. Alvarez wouldn't risk his hide fighting David Benavidez or David Morrell and lose his 3 titles." But one person in particular was extremely disappointed and kind of fed up with the situation. This is middleweight elite boxer David Benavidez, who has been Canelo's WBC mandatory fight for the last 3 years, but has been actively avoided by the Mexican champion. While Eddie Hearns believes that Berlanga is viewed as a weak, unworthy challenger with a laughable resume, he does bring a brawling style that will make the fight with Canelo entertaining for as long as the contest lasts. Berlanga is a primitive throwback fighter like James Kirkland, who comes out slugging with minimal skills and is there to be hit.
I don't want to overstep quickly and just think about Canelo, because the 24th I have an opposition I got to destroy, So my main focus right now is Quigley. I know the Canelo fight is on the verge to make it to coming true. It's there already. But like I said, if I don't perform, if I don't make a statement, if I don't, the new improved Edgar Berlanga, I feel like nothing will happen unless I perform on the 24th.
Edgar Berlanga says the Canelo clash is on the verge. Many analysts believe that if Berlanga had been matched against tough opposition by his past promoters at Top Rank and current ones at Matchroom, he would have been weeded out long ago. He wouldn't be getting this title shot against Canelo. Andre Ward, the former champion, believes that at the moment, it appears Alvarez is only taking safe bets to fight against and continue his dominance in the division. While Canelo Alvarez said, "I've been his mandatory for the past 3 years. I can't force a man to fight me. It shouldn't even come to a position where you have to activate your mandatory. What is the interim title for? That's basically activating your mandatory. They got a lot of weird stuff going on over there. At the end of the day, I gotta move forward with my career." According to PBC official, it does get a little exhausting trying to get the fight everybody wants, and Canelo is just avoiding it by throwing numbers people can't take him seriously for. The World Boxing Council is currently run by President Mauricio Sulaiman, and they are the ones not enforcing the mandatory fight between Canelo and Benavidez. Meanwhile, Andre Ward also points to Edgar's performance against Canelo. He stated, "Canelo versus Berlanga might sell tickets, but it's not the fight that'll cement legacies. Fans want to see Canelo in with guys like Benavidez, who's been calling him out and is at the top of his game." Ward also acknowledges that Canelo versus Berlanga could be a commercially successful event, drawing in large audiences due to the star power of both fighters. However, he contrasts this commercial appeal with the importance of legacy in boxing. Legacy is built on facing and overcoming the toughest challenges, something that fans and historians look back on with respect.
Because that's just how it operates. So what we do is we sign who we want to sign, that people who have the commercial value, not just guys because they've got a good name. Some of these guys, PBC have lost a lot of money on doing fights with those fighters. So you have to, the price has to be right, the business has to be right. But people like Benavidez, if we do manage to do a deal with Canelo Alvarez, we can do Munguia, we can do Berlanga, or if Benavidez wants to come and play, but it doesn't, when PBC do a deal, they only let you go and fight one of their fighters if you align yourself to PBC.
By disapproving of this fight, Eddie Hearns clearly says Canelo Alvarez and the choice of his opponents this year, needless to say, have been rather puzzling for the fans. His loyal fan base would have preferred to witness him going toe-to-toe with heavy-handed David Benavidez. But first, they got a Cinco de Mayo fight in Jaime Munguia, and now, for their annual Mexican Independence Day treat, they have Edgar Berlanga. Is this a fight that will move the needle? The verdict is still out on it, but for Mexican Monster, it's a fight that no one wants to see. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez is reportedly being stripped of one super middleweight crown as he prepares to defend his 3 others against Edgar Berlanga on September 14th in Las Vegas, while his competitor David Benavidez said, "Canelo fighting Berlanga is a joke. Berlanga has potential, but he hasn't proven himself against top competition. It's a money fight, not a legacy fight. Fans want to see Canelo against real contenders." But Benavidez, who had been Alvarez's mandatory for over 2 years, ended his disappointing chase with the Mexican champion as he decided to stay put at 175 and challenge for the gold. He had been devoid of the same at 168 because Alvarez, 34, never ceded to the fans' demand.
What's up, guys? Clapback Thursdays. Lots of rumors that Jaime Munguia is going to Top Rank. Wrong. He's still with Golden Boy, but just fighting on ESPN for his next fight. Just a different network. The September 14th fight has been made. Canelo Alvarez, Edgar Berlanga. A fight that nobody asked for. Fans are now starting to boycott Canelo for continuing to duck you-know-who. Also, they're going up against the UFC at the Sphere Ooh, good luck with making a splash with that one. Jake Paul, he won his last fight over the weekend. Jake, I've told you before that if you want to legitimize yourself in the sport of boxing, you have to take a different path. I have the perfect opponent for you to gain the real respect of the boxing community. What you're doing right now is regressing skill-wise. It's not making you a better fighter. Just call me.
Scared of Benavidez, promoter and former professional boxer Oscar De La Hoya rejects Canelo Alvarez to be on Top Rank. Oscar De La Hoya brutally reacts to the Canelo versus Berlanga fight. Oscar De La states, "Berlanga is a good fighter with a bright future, but I don't think he's ready for Canelo. Canelo needs to face opponents who can push him to his limits, and right now, that's not Berlanga." However, David Benavidez, a prominent figure in the super middleweight division, has openly criticized the potential matchup between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga. He also has expressed his disappointment, viewing this fight as less challenging and unworthy of Alvarez's caliber. Furthermore, Canelo cares about nobody, and promoters are saying that let Canelo make more money, while he believes that it's exciting to be part of another great Mexico versus Puerto Rico battle inside the ring because historically we have always offered unforgettable fights full of passion. I am proud to contribute to this legacy, and facing an opponent like Edgar Berlanga adds even more excitement and meaning to this event. But on the opposite side, Oscar Della believes no one asked for the Canelo versus Berlanga fight in reality, and the boxing world is largely disgusted with it. It is bad form by Canelo to fight Berlanga next up. Last year, UFC pounced on the holiday before Alvarez could secure the date and delivered Noche UFC, a fight night card. The UFC has a very different audience, so both events will probably find plenty of success. And with Alvarez's legion of passionate fans from Mexico, it is also assured he will bring fans in drove to his event, though it figures to be a key storyline all week in Las Vegas. And it is once again being presented as Noche UFC. Moreover, boxing commentator and analyst Paulie Malignaggi highlights the disparity in skill and experience between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga. He believes, "I understand the appeal from a promotional standpoint, but from a boxing purist's perspective, this fight doesn't make sense. Berlanga needs more time and more wins against top opposition before he steps in with Canelo." He also suggests that while Berlanga has potential and is on the rise, he is not yet at the level where he can genuinely challenge a seasoned and highly skilled fighter like Canelo. This perceived mismatch in levels makes the fight less intriguing from a competitive standpoint. In addition, American TV personality and promoter Max Kellerman also supports Paulie Malignaggi's statement and added, "This fight feels more like a business decision than a sporting one. Canelo has nothing to prove against Berlanga, and fans know it. They want to see Canelo in with someone who's truly earned the shot." Kellerman is suggesting that the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanga seems driven by financial motives rather than competitive merit. He feels that Canelo's reputation and skill level mean he should be facing opponents who have proven themselves as worthy challengers, rather than someone who hasn't yet faced top-tier competition. Benavidez is now next in line to face the winner of Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol, where all the straps of 175 will be on the line. He might have to wait for a while, as Beterbiev versus Bivol has a rematch clause, so you can expect Benavidez to finally realize his ambition of fighting for the undisputed crown somewhere in the first quarter of 2025. David Benavidez violates Canelo and Berlanga. Nobody trying to see that. Timothy Bradley stated, "People want to see Canelo tested against top-tier opponents. Berlanga is still climbing the ranks, and this fight just doesn't make sense from a competitive standpoint." Timothy Bradley is saying that boxing fans want to see Canelo Alvarez face high-level, experienced opponents. He believes that Edgar Berlanga is still not at that top level, and that a fight between him and Canelo lacks competitiveness because Berlanga is not yet a proven contender.
Septiembre 14, tú sabes, los duros, ¿oíste? Los Boris, activos siempre, knockout. Matarlo, ¿oíste? Por Puerto Rico, mi familia, todo, ¿oíste? A matar, guerra, puñeta.
Edgar Berlanga tells Canelo Alvarez he's going to knock him out on September 14th when they rumble at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas when they meet for their heated rivalry Mexico versus Puerto Rico. Edgar Berlanga goes off on Canelo Benavidez, feels that Canelo is avoiding more challenging opponents and settling for a less competitive match to boost his earnings rather than proving himself as the best in the division.
No, I don't mind the fight either, but it's not something that I was really excited about. It's not a fight that I was really excited about. I know the casual, just boxing fans that love to watch boxing, they're gonna love it because Puerto Rico versus Mexico. People love to see Jake Paul fight. you know, and he generates a lot. So pretty much the same thing. I would have preferred Canelo fighting a different name, but...
Similarly, Robert Garcia, a Mexican-American former professional boxer, is not excited about this fight too. While the IBF will reportedly order a fight between Skull and Vladimir Shishkin, Mexican Independence Day weekend has long been one of 2 key dates reserved for boxing's top star, a tradition that was held by Floyd Mayweather and Oscar de la Hoya before him. Sources say that PBC will lead the event on Prime Video PPV with Matchroom Boxing involved as Berlanga's promoter.
Trying to say he's not good or he doesn't deserve it, fuck it, he got it, and
let him make his money.
Let him make his money. Let him make his fucking huge payday. But I think Canelo wins.
Robert Garcia totally opposes this match. While in his previous outing at the same venue in May on Cinco de Mayo weekend, Canelo Alvarez took a dominant win against fellow Mexican Jaime Munguia. While agreeing with the Robert Garcia statement, professional boxer and promoter Roy Jones Jr. stated, Canelo needs to fight someone who's going to test him. Berlanga has the hype, but he hasn't fought the level of competition to deserve a shot at Canelo. It's too soon for him. Roy Jones Jr. expressed his view that Canelo Alvarez should face a more challenging opponent than Edgar Berlanga. He acknowledges that Berlanga has gained attention and hype, but believes he hasn't yet competed against high-level opponents to earn a fight with Canelo. According to Jones, Berlanga is not ready for such a big match, and Canelo should be fighting someone who can truly test his skills and push him to his limits. Meanwhile, Canelo hits back at Teddy Atlas, calling him overrated.
What about Teddy Atlas saying that you are the most overrated Mexican fighter in history?
What
He
that
went
mean?
on the rant with Teddy Atlas.
What's that mean?
He said you're the most overrated Mexican champion in history. He said that Salvador Sanchez.
Boxeador mexicano.
Más popular?
Pero sin causa. Sí.
Crazy that guy. and you think he knows boxing? Fuck.
Canelo declined all the statements made regarding him and his career. He clears that he is the owner of his own life. He cares about nobody. Furthermore, Edgar Berlanga of Brooklyn, New York, last fought in February in Orlando, where he dropped and stopped Padraig McCrory in the 6th round. The 27-year-old Puerto Rican makes his first attempt to land a world title. Berlanga asserts, "First and foremost, I want to thank the good Lord for putting me in this position. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. I deserve to be here, and I'm going to shock the world and silence the critics by delivering a masterful performance and knocking out Canelo Alvarez on Sept 14. I will prove that my Puerto Rican heritage surpasses Mexican boxing, from Gomez to Trinidad to Cotto, and now to Berlanga." The Berlanga fight comes after Alvarez's failure, or reluctance, to strike a deal with contender David Benavidez, who has since moved up to light heavyweight with a win over Alexander Gvozdyk earlier this month.
What's up, guys? Clapback Thursdays. Lots of rumors that Jaime Munguia is going to top rank. Wrong. He's still with Golden Boy, but just fighting on ESPN for his next fight. Just a different network. The September 14th fight has been made. Canelo Alvarez, Edgar Berlanga. A fight that nobody asked for. Fans are now starting to boycott Canelo for continuing to duck you-know-who. Also, they're going up against the UFC at the Sphere. Ooh, good luck with making a splash with that one. Jake Paul, he won his last fight over the weekend. Jake, I've told you before that if you want to legitimize yourself in the sport of boxing, you have to take a different path. I have the perfect opponent for you to gain the real respect of the boxing community. What you're doing right now is regressing skill-wise. It's not making you a better fighter. Just call me.
Benavidez's main contention is that Berlanga, despite being an undefeated fighter, lacks the experience and skill set to pose a real threat to Alvarez. He believes that this fight is more about spectacle than genuine competition. While he believes Edgar Berlanga is a good fighter, but he's not ready for Canelo. This fight is just a cash grab. It's not what the fans want to see. Canelo should be fighting the best in the division, not someone who's still proving himself. Meanwhile, Andre Ward, famous former professional boxer, sent a clear message to fans and said, "Canelo versus Berlanga might sell tickets, but it's not the fight that'll cement legacies. Fans want to see Canelo in with guys like Benavidez, who's been calling him out and is at the top of his game." Andre Ward emphasizes that the Canelo versus Berlanga fight lacks the competitive edge that fans and critics alike expect from a bout involving a champion of Alvarez's stature. Boxing professionals and analysts state that Edgar Berlanga has potential, but he is not yet ready to face Canelo Alvarez, who should be fighting opponents that truly challenge him and contribute to his legacy. Which fighter are you supporting? And do you agree that Canelo should fight with Edgar?